Welcome to the Read Aloud. We are going to finish the book today. It might take me a little while, but we'll get it done. So. Alright. 7 dead rats. Well, that's not a very good start to the chapter. From a bird cage, Miss Frisbee watched the Fitzgibbons eat dinner. There was dinner for her too, breadcrumbs, cheese, and bits of carrot. On the floor of the cage, along with a small bowl of water, the cage had been occupied until a few months ago by a yellow canary named Porgy, who had lived in it for 5 years and then died of old age. To get her out from under the colander, Billy had slid a piece of cardboard beneath it, pinching her foot sharply in the process so that it hurt when she walked. She had been transferred first to a shoebox. "Can I keep it?" Billy had asked her mother. "What for? It's just a field mouse." "For a pet. I like it." Billy had tried to look at Miss Frisbee through some holes he had punched in the top of the box, but it was dark inside. "I suppose so, for a few days. You'll have to feed it." "I think I'll put it in Porgy's cage. I can't see it in this box. It must be hungry. It was trying to eat Dragon's food. Dumb mouse, it might have been killed." No one had noticed the small torn piece of paper at first. Then Miss Fitzgibbon had absently picked it up and tossed it into the wastebasket. A few days, Miss Frisbee felt sick, and after a few days, then what? Would they let her go, or would Billy plead for more time? But even if they did set her free, her children were alone, and the rats were coming tonight to move her house. Why had Billy picked today, of all days, to sit on the stool? She had not the heart to eat the food that lay on the cage floor. She felt like weeping. Paul came in for dinner, followed by his father. He looked at her in the cage. "Why don't you let it go?" he said to Billy. "Poor little thing, it's scared to death." "No, it's not. It's just not used to the cage." "I bet it will die." "I bet it won't." "You can't just put wild animals in cages. You have to catch them when they're babies." "They do it in zoos." "Yes, but they know more about it. Anyway, a lot of those die too." "It's strange that it was in here at all," said Miss Fitzgibbon. "I haven't seen any sign of mice. I didn't think we had any." They sat at the table, and Miss Fitzgibbon served the stew. It was a long, square-cut farm table, big enough to feed, besides the family, the 4 hired hands who would be working with Mr. Fitzgibbon during the planting and harvesting. The Fitzgibbons sat together around one end of it. Miss Frisbee's cage hung from a metal stand in the corner of the opposite side of the room, quite high up, so that the floor where she crouched was above their heads. She could watch them looking down, but if she retreated to the far side of the cage, they could not see her, nor she them. She kept hoping that Paul would resume the argument with Billy and win it, or at least convince Mr. or Miss Fitzgibbon that they should let her go. But Paul was now busy eating, so, moving quietly, she crept to the back of the cage. There was a sliding door halfway up the side, which Billy had lifted to put her in. Remembering Nicodemus the story, she looked at it, wondering if she could climb to it. If she could get it open, if she could get it open if she did. Not now, but later when they had left the kitchen, maybe, but it looked quite big and heavy. She thought about her children again. Surely when Justin had waited a little longer, he would realize that something had gone wrong. He would go and talk to them. But what could he tell them? "Children, your mother went into the kitchen with Dragon and she hasn't come out." No. But whatever would he say? They would be dreadfully frightened and worried. Poor Cynthia, poor Timothy, poor all of them. She had one small satisfaction. Dragon, who had been admitted